private member's statement to the House.
I thank the member for Vaucluse. The House will now proceed with private member statements. Are there any statements? I call the member for Balmain.
Mr Temporary Speaker, I rise to address an issue which is of great importance to members in my electorate, and that is the changing situation in Burma and the role that we can play in supporting a transition to democracy, peace and reconciliation. In April, I was in Burma, but this time, as opposed to my previous visits, the situation was very different. It took a long time to find the small wooden house on the outskirts of Rangoon where U Win Tin was staying with his sister. U Win Tin had been imprisoned for his pro-democracy activities for over 19 years and had only recently been released. As a famous Burmese author and one of the founding members of the National League for Democracy, along with Aung San Suu Kyi, calls for his release were at the centre of years of international campaigning. For an 83-year-old, he was remarkably energetic and hungry for information on politics abroad, but first his comments were practical. I lost my house when I was in prison 20 years ago, he said. Now I live in different places and have to rely on family, but make yourself comfortable. We talked about the environmental crisis facing the country with the enormous dam projects, voracious mining activity and widespread deforestation. The scale of the challenges in his country was made clear by the example of student activists who were threatened and intimidated for their campaign to have a day to pick up rubbish around a famous hill monument. The military saw it as undermining confidence in the government as the state's clean-up efforts were being portrayed as ineffective. Despite all of this, there is an incredible sense of optimism and determination. The 1st of April by-election in Burma was the culmination of a range of activities, including the release of political prisoners, the relaxing of draconian media restrictions, and legalising some political activities. The National League for Democracy won 43 of the 44 seats to enter the 664-seat parliament, where 25% of the seats are controlled by the military. The 2015 national general election will be the real test of democracy for this quasi-military government. It was clear that the role of targeted sanctions was critical for these first steps forward. Australia had arms sanctions as well as individual travel and financial sanctions on over 400 of the country's top political, business and military figures. The experience of Burma rules out any doubt that sanctions can play a decisive role in the battle for democratisation and freedom across the world. The NLD and the wider pro-democracy movement in Burma does face enormous challenges. We know that building of democratic political parties and vibrant civil society is seen as a critical priority. And in a country that's been dominated by one-party military state for so long, new methods of organising, like the grassroots democracy approach of the Greens, which we talked about, and these types of structures are unfamiliar and challenging, but welcome and due discussion. I note the strong support of Australians, community organisations, faith-based organisations, trade unions and a broad range of other activists supporting the campaign for democracy in Burma. I note the role of the Upper House and the Australian Senate in supporting many of these matters in New South Wales and federally. And I also recognise the work of the Australian Coalition for Democracy in Burma, of which I'm a founding member, as well as the work of Burma Campaign Australia and the support of Caritas. It will take some time to build the democratic infrastructure in Burma, as labour unions and civil society are almost non-existent. The rule of law is weak and institutions are dominated by the military and their supporters. Building capacity within Burma is being initiated from the border areas where there is a long history of cross-border activity and organisation, in particular on the Thai-Burma border. The Burmese-run non-government organisation, the Burma Labour Solidarity Organisation, is such an organisation that has a long and stable history of campaigning, providing human rights training, labour organising and educating the children of migrant workers in a school in the town of Mae Sot on the Thai-Burma border. I first visited the BLSO and their school over 10 years ago, and their success is substantial and effective. I'll be visiting them again in July and look forward to seeing how their excellent work is progressing under the new political circumstances in Burma. You can show your support for a democratic transition in Burma by making a tax-deductible donation to the Burma Labour Solidarity Organisation via the organisation Union Aid Abroad, a feeder, www.apheda.org.au. And the campaigns that they run around the world with the support of AusAid, individual donors and trade unions are very, very highly significant. I encourage members to have a look at that website and the work that organisation does. Make sure you specify your donation is for the BLSO, and you can be sure that your support will make a real difference in the future of Burma, supporting those activists, like Koltan Dok, the chairman of the BLSO, to make sure that the transition to democracy in Burma is just and takes the whole of the country in a unified and dignified way to a better future. Thank you.
I thank the member for Balmain.